Welcome to my newest audience everywhere on Earth. Of course, I assume you have a deep curiosity, as do I, concerning solvable problems, one of which is forming a more perfect union. So, let's begin here at Self-Synergetic Mind, May 26, 2024. Correlating corollaries. Having no anticipatory reason to inquire further into the 66 synergetic corollaries before the omnirational objective of forming a more perfect union, awaken self-dormant synergetic mind, awareness of Synergetics 240.01 through 240.66. Now it can be consciously acknowledged as extrapolations may apply. The term corollary is defined in Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, 11th edition, as a proposition inferred immediately from a proved proposition with little or no additional proof. A corollary can be something that naturally follows as a result. Also, a corollary is something that incidentally or naturally accompanies or parallels. Since these 66 corollaries are synergetic, our 21st century individual anticipatory design science economic initiative focus respecting omnirational results can be referentially to universe's minimum structural system. Universe's minimum structural system comprises nature's long ignored into transforming prime structural systems that are accounted by our inherently individual imagination's ability to formulate conceptually, referentially, in terms of the tetrahedron, octahedron, vector equilibrium, VE, and icosahedron, 244.66. Coincidentally, a hands-on and optical experience of the jitterbug vector flexor model demonstrates the progressions. Meanwhile, let's refer to the specific corollary by whichever number it is between 0.01 and 0.66 that our metaphysical intellect as a function of omnirational universe is consciously applying to the prospects as a developing proposal of forming a more perfect union. Of course, since there are lag rates between apprehension and comprehension, then everyone technically and literally is operating in their uniquely conceptual and reasoning thought process that in common 0.04, albeit non-simultaneously at different rates, the anticipatory intertransacting newly acquired knowledge of 4 stars that may or might not consider the 50 stars on the American flag. Consider, as I recall from Latin, is con plus sidus, joining stars together. So considering one conceptual tetrahedron, which Bucky Fuller's synergetic mind discovered to be the lowest common rational denominator of universe, always includes 4 stars, 4 vertexes, 4 points that apparently are essential to disseminating generalized content in TUCP, the Universal Communications Process. Interestingly, it is the generalized content in the disseminated information, which is now transmitted via the internet by consciously coordinated thought and language contributions to TUCP that induces metaphysical generalized conceptioning fields of thought where the degrees of motion freedoms are integrals in the entire process. There are 6 positive and 6 negative degrees of motion freedoms that are brought to mind by our evolving species, humans of the mind, who require freedoms in order to function in a dynamic, not static, survival environments. But such motion freedoms have become automatic. So we do not think of each one when subconsciously activating these propensities throughout our day-to-day coexistence. Motion freedoms, axial rotation, orbital rotation, inside outing, torque, counter torque, expansion, contraction, precession. Yet, every time we dress and undress, can we do so without aspects of the motion freedoms? Actually, we do not have to consciously reintroduce motion freedoms into our cerebral circuits because they have become second nature to us over millions of years of evolution. Now, though, we are focusing on forming a more perfect union where freedoms by degree can no longer be taken for granted, and since disseminating generalized content in TUCP can be omnirationally coordinated as reenacting corollaries, which are inferred from knowledgeably informed clarifications that are demonstrated as the newly forming insights and outlooks register in recallable event scenarios. The point 27, vectorial geometry and synergetic mind's awareness of the always and only coexisting complementarities are essential during rudimentary education, correlating to learning about the most economic way a system can behave relative to unity and self in universe. This is a list of some of the always and only coexisting complementarities from our Buckminster Fuller Synergetic Dictionary. Activity and inactivity. Action and reaction. Attraction and precession. Automatics and intellections, annihilation and conservation, dissociative and associative, disintegration and integration, environment in parentheses, non-self and self, equilibrious and disequilibrious, explicable and inexplicable, female and male, finite and definite, finity and infinity, function and function, geodesics and irrelevance. Moreover, since a system is the antithesis of a non-system, then logically the people's self-governing system at minimum requires knowledge of finite universe, 0.01, that self and others require, at minimum 2, 0.03, in order to form a more perfect union. Is it conceivable that the 50 stars on the American flag that represent 50 United States can be generalized to 4 stars, the 4 unique and minimum stars of every tetrahedron? 0.04. If so, hypothetically, every state's individual UIVMOFCH isotopic vector matrix operational field cosmic hierarchy is interaccountable. A constituent of the federal UIVMOFCH that in common shares an accountable responsibility to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the ever-potential increasing residual inaccuracies of the reenacting articulations. In this hypothetical projection, the existing protective services are departmentally challenged to convert from a predominantly putatory modus operandi by comparatively reconsidering the PRJWB, SHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief system, hierarchical matrix, and UIVMOFCH alternative options. Such progressions are almost unthinkable. Too much to wonder about, and yet it seems foolish to ignore the prospects of the synergetic mind's integrative nature, which is closer aligned with the family unit than the disintegrative and integrative, the disuniting, self-other-annihilating, misguided reality bases that have culminated into outright denial of the always and only coexisting complementarities by excluding the accuracies from speech patterns in general. Notice suffix VE as the last 2 letters in the word. Can this have a correlation to conceptualities of the VE, the vector equilibrium, which is the equanimity model that shares the same design in both the metaphysical and physical universe? Anyway, our evolving species can always logically aspire to a realizable coexistence that in generalized principle seems to be a self-testing design of universe eternal omniscient mind. Not doing so, evidently, delays the inevitable, which will always involve time. The shortest or longest amount of it to the nth degree. Suggested reading, Synergetics Table of Contents, Synergetics 240.04, Synergetics Corollaries, Synergetics Figure 413.01, Vector Equilibrium, omnidirectional closest packing around a nucleus, Synergetics Figure 935.23, Synergetics Color Plate Number 9, Cosmic Hierarchy. Until next time, keep tuning in and reading Synergetics. It is available online as our coexisting humanities, cosmic to local relevance, consciously persistent, forming a more perfect union. As this potential realization becomes clearer by the day. Thank you.